Hi everyone, the Water Magister here. Thank you for tuning in this week. Today's topic is going to be about listening to your body. Your body is a communications device. So we're going to begin understanding what exactly that means. Before I even get into that, I was on a radio station podcast last week, talking about the I Love Your Water and meditation. So if you have a chance, check that out. So let's get into the topic of following the body and listening to the body. So I want you to take a moment and understand that you are not the body. You are the soul that is inhabiting a body. So the way to look at how this physical body is think of it as like a spacesuit that allows us to interact in this three-dimensional world. So when you begin to think of it that way, this spacesuit has different sensors, different things to relay to the soul, to the real you. And we've, as a culture, as a society, we tend to turn those things off because we don't want to listen to it. We don't want to acknowledge those things. So it's time to start doing that. How to start doing that? First, we have to begin to understand that we create our reality. We are all gods and goddesses. So once you acknowledge and you accept the fact that you create your reality based on what you feel and what you believe, anything from that point is going to be teaching you something so that you can grow, so that you can learn from learning lessons. And if you don't learn a lesson the first time around, because everything is in a cycle, everything is in a circle, that cycle will keep repeating. But the next time it repeats, it'll be a lot stronger because you're not paying attention to it. So the reason why I even was inclined to come up with this video is I see a lot of people pretending that they're a victim, or acting like they're a victim. And you're never a victim, because you create everything that you experience. You're just forgetting that you do. For instance, when you get into an accident, or let's stay on when you get into an accident, that's showing you something that you're not paying attention to. I could give you a couple examples of myself. Let's see which one to say. I have a lot. Back about, I'd say, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I was going through a point in my life where I was very fearful of the government, very fearful of the Illuminati, whatever it is that you want to call it. And I wanted to buy myself a long-range rifle, what's it called there? A bolt-action rifle. So my intuition was telling me, no, don't do it, don't do it. And I got in my car and I started to go to the gun shop, and I had bought the gun. And on the way back home, I got rear-ended. So it's like the universe or myself said, alright, you didn't listen to me. Alright, here you go. You're going to get this. That's one example. And that's all listening to the body. That's listening to your intuition. That's listening to the different sensors that you have in this suit that we wear. There's so many. I did a 5-day water fast last year in December, and I always wore these sandals. They're Birkenstock sandals. So this is an example of something to pay attention to, how your body communicates to you. And never once while wearing these sandals, because I wear them everywhere. If you know me, all I do is wear sandals, and it's usually these sandals, the Birkenstock sandals. So during the 5-day water fast, I wore my sandals for the first day, and I would walk from my apartment to a park. And never have I received any blisters prior to that. So that day when I got home from the water fast, I started feeling blisters on my feet, and I was wondering, what the heck is this? So immediately my intuition, like a thought came in, and this is how your mind works. This is what it is. The intuition came in and said, stop wearing sandals. We want you to walk on the earth. We want you to feel the presence of the earth while you're going through this phase of a water fast, so that you can feel all the energies. You can be one with what you're tuning into. So I decided to listen to it, and after that point, I felt so much connection as I was walking the earth, and they call it earthing. So for those other 5 days, I would walk barefoot from my house to a park. And for me, I have really sensitive feet, so it was very difficult at first. But once I allowed myself and surrendered to it, it felt really amazing. So that's an example that your body is communicating something to you. And there's different ways that the body can communicate something to you. So in that one communication, it let me know, stop wearing sandals. So the body, myself, created something to let me know that. And then an intuition followed in. An intuitional thought came in. Okay. I'm looking at my list of what to go over. So other examples. Anytime I do a healing session on someone, I like to ask the following question. I ask them, what hurts you on your body? Where do you feel pain? And why I ask that is because depending on the origin of where you're feeling that pain, say for instance, anything below the waist is considered the root chakra. And if you're familiar with the chakra system, the root chakra is where you feel safe, where you feel secure, where you feel protected. So if you don't feel safe, if you don't feel secure, and if you don't feel protected, or you don't feel grounded, that's an origin of the root chakra. So if for whatever reason you get out of bed and you stub your toe, and you constantly stub your toe, your body's communicating something to you. You're manifesting that experience that you're not paying attention to because it seems so little, it seems so minute. But in every instance, every moment, something is being communicated to you. In those little small moments, it's letting you know that maybe you don't feel safe. Maybe you don't feel safe with the relationship that you're in. Maybe you don't feel safe with the job that you have. You don't feel secure. You don't feel grounded. You don't feel present. And all these things, these little stubbing the toe, hurting anything below the waist, it's communicating that to you. So that's the root chakra. We're going to go up to each chakra point. So if something hurts above the root and below the navel, that's the sacral chakra. That houses the sexual energy and creativity. So if you maybe were sexually abused, or you hold a lot of pain from some type of sexual trauma, you might have a lot more pain in that area, like where the hips are. Hips house a lot of trauma. Or maybe you're not expressing your true creativity. So the body will create an illness, or it will create a feeling of pain, because in essence there is no pain, there really is no illness. It's just you creating something for you to pay attention to, so that you can then understand what origin or what's creating that in the first place. So that's the sacral. Going up to the solar plexus, you might notice people who have big bellies, who may be overweight. So for people who have those types of things, or for people who have I think it's like ulcers and stuff like that, anything that has to do with the stomach, the central point right above the belly button, that's a solar plexus. That's where the willpower is. That's where your abundance and your manifestation is. So people who do not have willpower, like people who have bigger bellies. And there's nothing wrong with having a big belly or being overweight or underweight. This is just an indication that your body's communicating something to you. It's telling you, hey, maybe you're not eating correctly. Or maybe you're not finishing a project that you have always wanted to finish, because that's your willpower. Willpower pushes you forward. Willpower is the thing that when you get out of bed or when your alarm rings, you're like, I don't want to get out of bed. Fuck. Alright, willpower gets in. Alright, I'm hitting the alarm clock. And then you wake up. I get that almost every day because I wake up at 5 in the morning for a thing called 5 a.m. Club. And I struggle with that still. But you use that willpower. So if anything ever hurts within the solar plexus, that's letting you know, it's communicating something to you. That you get to work on something with willpower, maybe do some type of exercise that's willpower based. Do sunrise meditation. Sunrise meditations are amazing for the solar plexus. So then moving on to the heart. The heart chakra, if anything ever hurts in the upper chest, this is a representation that you may not be loving yourself. Maybe you have a relative or someone who has lung cancer or heart cancer or anything like that. They created those illnesses for themselves. So there's no how do I word this? There's no requirement to ever feel sorry for anybody who has an illness, who has something physically wrong with them. Because once you begin to understand that all of this is being created by those individual souls so that they can learn and they can process that information, you can understand that they're creating their reality for what suits them. So for the heart, when you don't love yourself, when you're giving too much love outwardly and not internally, or vice versa, you might begin to feel either pain in the heart or some type of illness comes from the heart. Now, for the throat, this is one of my favorite ones, the throat chakra. People who get sore throats or colds and their throat starts to hurt. That's an indication that you're not speaking your mind. You're not expressing yourself how you've always wanted or how you want to express yourself. Because you have a fear. You have a fear of what that other person might think about what you're going to say. And in reality, that's your own judgment on yourself. So when you begin to allow yourself to express yourself how you want without fear of what that other person's going to think, those symptoms that you may have because you haven't been listening to yourself, you haven't been listening to the body, those symptoms of being sick through the throat will begin to go away. My cat agrees. I don't know if you heard that. So then going up to the third eye, when you have headaches or when you have a lot of pressure or allergies or sinus pressure, this is an indication that you're not following your intuition. And I have a lot of allergies. I have a lot of sinus problems. And it's because I don't follow my intuition sometimes. Because sounds silly to say, but sometimes I'm afraid of my own power. I know how strong I can actually be. So sometimes I take a step back and I don't want to jump into it yet because it's just, we love these stories of feeling like we're not good enough because we've told it to ourselves so much. So that change of understanding that you are good enough and you are powerful, start feeling that power, will begin to overtake those previous feelings that you had. So that's an indication that the third eye, or your body is communicating something to you based on the third eye, that you're not following your intuition. Also, headaches, migraines, the crown chakra. That's an indication that you're not allowing information to flow through. You're being very stubborn with something. Another indication of not following your intuition. So, no matter what it is outside of yourself, like I said, if you get in a car accident, you're creating that accident to communicate something to you via your body. So, if you're hurting on your body after an accident, don't say, that accident was actually the cause of my pain. It wasn't. It's letting you know where to start looking as the cause of the pain. Because pain starts emotionally first, and then it manifests physically. Because you're not paying attention to the emotional charge that you're receiving. You're not paying attention to that emotional thing that may have triggered you. And then you bottle it in, and then you act like nothing ever happened. You act like you never felt anything. But you did feel something. So, let's see what else. And it's important to remember that the more and more you're ignoring different stories in your life, that you say, oh, I'll worry about that another time, it's going to get louder and louder and louder and louder until it's rough to say this, but until you create a story where you no longer exist in this physical realm because you didn't want to listen to it. You didn't want to pay attention to that story. All of these emotions, all of these things that the body's communicating, it just wants your attention, like a child. It wants your love. It's time to start loving yourself, start listening to yourself, because your body's a temple. And it's such a beautiful temple. Once you begin to see how vast and deep it goes. I'm getting emotional right now, just like thinking about how far I've come. We put ourselves through so much. All those times when you were younger and you may have had some type of trauma, when you start understanding that you created all of that so you can be where you are right now. It's beautiful. So, it's important to stop and just listen to what your body's communicating to you. So like right now, close your eyes and let's take a deep inhale in. Exhale out. Breathe normally. I want you to scan your body. Find something in your body that is off. Something that doesn't seem the same as the rest of the body. And focus in on that spot. Place all of your attention and awareness on that spot once you find it. And understanding what I just said previously about the chakra points and what part of the body you're feeling it in. See if you can pinpoint what is creating that for you. And we're going to be doing a breathwork exercise. This was taught to me by Kevin Walton. He is my the Light Beings community core leader. I'm part of the core group with the Light Beings. So, as you're focusing on that location that feels off to you, we're going to be doing a little bit of a breath work. And what it is, you're going to be breathing in through the mouth as you lean forward. And as you lean back, exhale. So it's going to look like this, if you want to open your eyes and look really quick. And I want you to pause the video and do that for 10 minutes. And as you're doing that for those 10 minutes, have your eyes closed, continue that breath, and keep your hands on your lap. Keep them still. Notice any time that you feel like you have to fidget or you have to move around. and focus on those spots in your body that are asking for attention. Those are the different points that seem off to you. And as you're breathing into those spots, those locations will begin to move to different spots because you're shifting the energy to other locations. You're allowing those blockages to dissipate so that you can start working on another story that you haven't been giving attention to. So do that for 10 minutes. I would set a timer and just go in it. And if something's preventing you from doing this, ask yourself why. Something so simple about breathing. What is that thing that's stopping you? It's fear. It's fear of understanding how powerful you really are. It's fear of accepting how powerful you really are. So, last, I want to give you a homework assignment. I got this idea from my dream that I just had last night. In my dream, I was doing a healing session on someone, and I was letting this person know as a homework assignment to write a love letter to yourself. I'm sure you may have written a love letter to a person, like your significant other, but have you ever taken the time to write a love letter to yourself and direct it to yourself? Just to see what comes up. See how that feels. To speak beautiful words to yourself, because you deserve it. All of this seeking outside of yourself is outside validation. It's seeking outside attention, when in reality the only thing that really matters is you and the temple that you embody. Because your body just wants you to love it, just like a child just wants love. So as an example, opening up my Facebook, I want to read my, I'm not typing, there we go. I want to read my love letter to myself, so that you have something to maybe work with. Maybe you don't know which way to go. Almost there. So yeah, just understand everything outside of yourself is a creation, a lesson of yourself, to learn more of yourself. So this is my love letter to myself. The time we have spent together has had so many ups and downs. It wasn't until the past 2 years where I was actually able to truly see you for how beautiful you truly were. I want to say I am sorry for all this time having ignored you and focusing on other people, when it was just you the entire time. It was always you, the love of my life. These last few years we have shared together have been such a growth for us. I see how I used to be towards you, and how I now honor you as my temple. I now support all our ideas together without fear of what you may think, because those judgments are only showing us what we have to work on. I have cried so many nights on my own, always feeling alone. But you were always there for me, always, and I never saw you, until recently. I now know I can never be alone because I see you. I finally see me. This being that so much wanted to give his love to others but was neglecting his own self-love. I am sorry I neglected you in this way. I am sorry I made you lash out in many different emotions because you were just attempting to gain my attention. The moods of anger, jealousy, insecurity, it was all you, always showing me to focus within myself. I love you. I thank you for being so patient with me and holding space until I was finally mature enough to see how beautiful and vibrant you have been for me. My one and only love that will always be there for me regardless of what happens outside of myself. I love you, David. So, this letter to yourself can be as short or long as you want it to make it. And just declare how much you love yourself. It feels great. It does. I actually cried when I wrote this. And it's okay to cry. It's not a weakness. It's a strength. Showing the true you, showing the authentic you. I love all of you. And I honor you in your growth. The light in me honors and acknowledges the light within you. Because as you begin to expand your own light, you allow others in their darkness to see that and come out of that darkness, to begin loving themselves again, to begin understanding who they really are. Thank you. Namaste.